Meet Marco267. He might look like a normal person posting on social media, but actually, well, Marco267 is a fake account. And he was not alone. Marco267 was part of a network of hundreds of fake bot accounts pushing propaganda websites and some pretty odd information. And all of them, well, they were ran out of a small company in Indonesia. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you what these accounts were sharing, how they were sharing it, and who was behind it. And I'm going to show you each step of the way and the open source investigative techniques used. Hi everyone, I'm Ben and welcome back to my channel on open source investigative techniques. If you'd like to follow any of the links to tools or resources mentioned in this video, check them out in the description below, and while you're there, don't forget to click subscribe. Otherwise, let's get started. So before we get too stuck in the weeds, you might be wondering, what's Marco even posting about? He mentions Indonesia and West Papua. Well, for those of you that don't know, West Papua was a Dutch colony that declared independence in 1961. And it was annexed by Indonesia in 1969 through a vote that many see as illegitimate. Since then, the region's seen decades of unrest, a strong independence movement, and repeated crackdowns by Indonesian authorities, including internet blackouts and bans on foreign media. With little press access, social media has become the main battleground for shaping the narrative. And that's where this case comes in. Because what we uncovered wasn't just a normal information operation, it was a Jakarta-based marketing firm that was running a fake network to manipulate public opinion on West Papua. They used bots, they hijacked hashtags, and they even created fake pro-independence pages to push anti-independence content. Social media platforms later removed hundreds of accounts, but the tactics still came back. Well, let's go back to Marco. And what is he actually saying? Well, in this post, he says, what are some secrets that Indonesia have been hiding in West Papua? Find out the answers here. And he's also got a heap of hashtags that he's posting. Some of those really don't seem relevant to this post. For example, he's using the hashtag West Papua Genocide, Free West Papua, and Let West Papua Vote. It would be really awful if Marco was actually putting out some incorrect information and trying to hijack those hashtags where there might be legitimate actual West Papua genocide videos or photos, or people trying to fight for Free West Papua. So let's take a look at the video that he's trying to post about. Well, the video is trying to say that Indonesia is hiding in West Papua some pretty good news and some pretty good projects. And the rest of the video is pretty much the same. When we go back to Marco, well, actually, he's not really the only person posting about it. He's got a lot of friends posting the exact same content. And they're all posting the same text and the same hashtags, and they're even using the exact same little error in that hashtag about West Papua, where they forgot to put in the hashtag and put in a space there. Some of us like to call this a copy and paste network right here, because they're essentially copying and pasting the exact same text and hashtags. So let's go back to Marco. Well, okay, he's got a lot of friends posting the same stuff. Maybe they just really like him. Could he be a real person though? One way that we can find out is by checking out his profile picture. He seems like a middle-aged white male, but maybe he's really not behind the surface. So what we can do is use our favorite little technique, an image reverse search, and check out where else that photo might be online. And haha, it's everywhere. It's on dating websites. Apparently Marco267 is responsible for the most intense workout plan you've ever tried on girlsaskguys.com. And he's also part of some other pretty nefarious scam websites. It sounds like Marco267's photo, whoever he really is, has been taken and utilized around the world across the internet for very different purposes. So let's have a look at the activity of not only Marco, but some of his friends. One thing I always like to look at is posting times. How often is Marco267 posting? And maybe, well, let's take a look at his friends as well that we already saw that are posting the exact same context and hashtags. Well, what about his friends? Here's someone called Bellingcat, and here's another one called Kevin Ma. And these are lists of time codes of every time they've posted on one single day. Well, first of all, you can see that they post a lot, but second, you can see some of the time codes are pretty interesting. There's a lot of patterns there. The pattern like 32 minutes 56 on the hour, repeated 5-6 times. Perhaps we've got Kevin Ma. Look at him, 32:54 on the hour, numerous amounts of times. And so this is really interesting to see. And this is something that we indicate might be a script, might be a level of automation to show repeat time patterns being used. So now that we've seen Marco267 might not be a real person, and we've also seen that some of his friends might be a little bit botty, a little bit automated, let's take a look at some of his other friends. Well, I collected some activity on that day from Marco267. Here he is pictured as a little red dot, and we're going to see him as part of a much bigger network. This network is Twitter accounts using the hashtag #FreeWestPapua for that day. Now we can see Marco267's little network of friends over here. And we can see some of the other accounts like Free West Papua ID, Papua West ID, West Papua ID, but also some others like Hendraoff, Yerxi, Idola Jakarta 48, and some of the others. Here's Marco267, and we can see some of the relationships there. So let's go to one of those accounts, West Papua ID, that seemed to be pretty popular. A lot of people are retweeting the video with those comments and with those hashtags. The interesting thing that we see about West Papua ID is that it's got a website link. And that's always useful because sometimes people make mistakes with websites. So let's click on the website link and let's check out the website. Whenever you're doing this kind of stuff, I always recommend using a VPN and making sure you mask any indicators that might give away you, your identity, and your location, because some of these could be a little bit of a trap. For this website, it's also got some linked social media accounts that we can see in the top right there. And those are always useful to check out just because some social media platforms have some transparency tools that we can utilize to see some of the activity behind them. This website specifically is West Papua ID's website. It's the link that we followed to from that Twitter account. And on it, you can see some pretty heavy propaganda stuff, some very Indonesian supportive stuff of what's happening in West Papua. It claims to be a West Papuan news website, which is also pretty interesting. So this is the Facebook account that was linked to that website. It's West Papua Indonesia. Again, you can see the username, westpapua.id. Seems to have quite a few people liking it. It's got 152,000 people that like it, 153,000 that follow it. So it says that it's West Papua Indonesia is a media established to give insights in data and facts for international audiences. How very interesting. What's also interesting is that they run ads, and those ads are targeting specific groups. For example, here's a post from West Papua. It was taken down because it goes against Facebook's policies, but this post was trying to target who? Well, they tried to target people in the Netherlands, and many other ads try to target people in Europe. That's kind of interesting. I don't really know the motivation behind why they're doing that, but it's a useful thing to find out when we're doing this research. So let's go back to the website. Well, the fun fact about websites is that whenever you start up a website, you often have to give some details like a phone number, a name, an email address. Oftentimes you can make that private, except this person didn't. I'm blocking out these details because I think this person was just an employee of a marketing firm and was just doing their job. So I prefer not to dox their details. But we can see a couple of those details there, such as the start of a phone number, the name, and they also left an email there. The organization was actually fake. It didn't lead to anything whatsoever. But the phone number, well, that was definitely useful. For those of you that use WhatsApp and you use your profile picture in there, well, news for you, that might lead to other things. So for this person, I took their phone number, saved it in WhatsApp, and did an image reverse search on their profile picture, and that took me to some of their profiles on things like freelancer.com, where they were advertising themselves as a digital marketing freelancer that was really good at running social media campaigns. Further to that, I also got their name and was able to identify the person on LinkedIn and the company that they work for. There were quite a few similar other people working at that same company called InsightID, and I'm not going to expose their details either, which is why I've got them blurred out and why I won't expose their names. But one person who was running the organization is this person, Abdul at insightid.org. If we have a look at Abdul's registrations of websites, well, gosh, there's a lot. And there are also a lot on one single day. Abdul registered on 2018, August 6. registered survivalwestpapua.com, westpapuagenocide.com, papuabaratnews.com, Asia Pacific Reports, West Papua Video. I'm not going to go through all of them, but a lot of websites, a lot of news websites as well around West Papua. It almost gave no chance for anyone who actually wanted to have a human rights website or a news website about West Papua the chance to register a domain, because Abdul pretty much registered all of them. So myself and an awesome researcher called Elise Thomas did this investigation and published this report with Bellingcat, and you can find the link in the description below where all of these details have been published, including exactly how we did all these steps. I'm also conscious I've covered them very quickly here, but it is a very in-depth report detailing all of the data that we collected. After we published that, we noticed that social media platforms took action. Facebook took down the network that was present on Facebook and Instagram. Twitter took down apparently 795 accounts, which it identified were pushing content from suspicious news websites and promoting pro-government content. And also Google took down stuff from YouTube as well. And after we published that, well, of course, the website went down and this marketing firm was no more. Now, usually I'd like to end this with a happy story, but the network lived on using a couple of different tactics, such as writing in Dutch or writing in German, and also using very graphic memes with lots of words on them to target West Papuan independence movements, West Papuan autonomy and voting for independence, and again also using those hashtags. The type of accounts posting this content were quite interesting. For example, here's one on the left called Jasmine Eloise, who is apparently an Australian reporter. And here's Eliza Florence on the right, who apparently likes to smile. And these accounts were posting in English and Dutch and German also. We'll also get to why some of the profile pictures on these accounts are interesting. Again, you'll see many of them were also emerging on Facebook too. Again, really targeting the same kind of thing. You can see the keywords there being special autonomy. Pretty much most of the posts were around that. But once we collected the profile pictures of all of the accounts from Twitter, from Facebook, from Instagram, we noticed a bit of a pattern. Can you see it on your screen here? And I'll leave it for 2 seconds and you can tell me if you see it. If some of you said that maybe they had a really good photographer taking a very good portrait photo, you're probably right. Well, actually, these are all generated photos. And the way we can test that is by drawing red lines. When these photos were generated, it was generated using a website called thispersondoesnotexist.com, and the eyes were always in the exact same location. Really easy way to test that out is just to match up the photos like this and to draw lines to show the symmetry between every single photo and all of the eyes in the exact same location. But it's not the only thing. Of course, if we look a little bit deeper, the devil is always in the detail. And one of these folks, if we have a look at their cap, we can see, well, actually, that's a pretty weird hat. And also a bit of an odd logo. We can see this person, their glasses are a little bit odd. They're wearing jewelry on one ear unless the other one lost it. And you can see the mouth and the teeth are a little bit different as well. And many of these accounts were very much posting a lot of similar activity. You can see the accounts on Instagram here, for example, were pumping out this content. So what have we gone through here? Well, we've gone into a little bit of context about why this information is actually important about West Papua's independence and about what's actually happening in West Papua, especially where there might not be much information actually heard from the ground because of internet cuts and internet blackouts, because of limitation of media access as well. We've also identified the discovery of a bot network and the people behind it being a marketing firm called InsightID, but also the persistence of new operations even after those other networks have been taken down. And so I really invite you to have a look at some of the links in the description, and specifically the long report that Elise and I wrote, which really goes into some of the techniques used, some of the information gleaned from using creative open source investigative techniques to uncover the truth. I hope you enjoyed this session, which was a little bit more about information operations, disinformation networks, and also the open source investigative techniques that can be used to expose them and understand what they're posting and who's behind them. See you in the next session.